It's at 0, 0. Tomorrow we'll move it a little bit. It's when we move it that it starts to get a little more, I don't even want to say hard. Like I told you, it's not hard. It's just that it becomes decimals and fractions. And that gets a little confusing for you guys because y'all freak out when you see decimals and fractions. But it's okay. So the first part you're already going to know. We already know that the parent equation is x squared. That's our most basic form. And when we have x squared, remember from the last unit, try to get me in here too. If we rewrote this in vertex form, it would look like this. So then what would our vertex be? 0, 0. And then what is our direction? Why is it up? Because it's a positive x squared. So how about this one? It's the same thing. If I rewrite it in vertex form, just the negative goes outside, x plus 0 squared plus 0. So what's your vertex? And then your direction this time would be down because it's a negative. Okay, stuff we already know. All right, so here's an equation that may look different, but it's not. What's the difference in this equation right here? Yeah, so we just need to get it in y equals, right? So how do we do that? Okay, how do we rewrite this to look a little better? I don't want to do x squared over 12, so what can I do?
1/12 x squared.
X squared, perfect. All right, so again, if I had to write that in vertex form, and this is just me giving you a visual, if you already know it, you don't have to write it. What would your vertex be? 0, 0. And what is your direction? And why is it up? It's a positive 1/12. Yeah, everything you already know, right? Okay. So what is the A value? So when we talk about this, and we're talking about the A value, so let me throw it at the top so you guys can see this equation. When I wrote it early on, I wrote it like this. This is your vertex form. I mean, this has been a long time ago. So the A is your number in front. That's the number that we're talking about. So what is our A for this equation right now?
1/12.
1/12. It tells you two things. What does it tell you? The direction is the first one. Yeah. The direction. That was like a little kid B. Or the size. And so, good gracious. Told y'all it's like a Monday. And whether it's a stretch or a shrink. What would this one be, the 1/12? Shrink. You're making it fatter, so you're squishing it down. Okay. All right. The next one, we're going to do the same thing. So what do? Divide by negative 32. What is my actual equation? Yeah, you can just do 1 over 32. And then what's my vertex? 0, 0. There's no number with x. There's no number added or subtracted to the end. And then what's our direction? Down. And why is it down? Yeah. Stretch or shrink? Okay. So the A value right now is that negative 1 over 32. And again, it tells you the direction and whether it's a stretch or shrink. Oh my. Super dyslexic today. And both of these were shrinks, just so you know. All right, so that's all kind of review, and then now we're going to get into that new stuff that I was talking about. It's very hot in my mask today. All right, relationships among certain features of a parabola. So what we have is this parabola right here, and I'm not even going to use the second one, but I'm going to use the first one, so I don't even care about that one. So what we're going to have is a point right here. called the focus. The focus is a point that is the same distance from the vertex to the axis, and we're going to call that distance C. Remember that this point is your vertex. Then you have two other points, one here and one here. They're in line with the focus. And they're called focal chord endpoints. And obviously that line is the focal chord. But then this distance is 2C. So it's double the distance from the vertex. This line at the bottom that I haven't mentioned yet is called the directrix. Sorry. The directrix. And again, it's the same distance from the vertex as the focus. And then one little tidbit of information. This is not really, it's a visual for you more than it is anything. I'll explain how to find everything in a minute. That's what we're finding today. But once you find it, this will make a lot more sense, okay? So once we do it, all those numbers will make more sense. So one more little tidbit, vertex, the vertex. Is halfway between, and I just told you this, the focus and directrix. And again, I don't need to use that other graph. I put everything on the first one. All right. So as you can see, the C value is very important. It's called the focal length. So again, focal length is C. There are several relationships built around the C value. The formula for finding C is 1/4A. So that's a formula that we're going to use. I'm going to box that in for you. That's an important formula. If you have friends in Miss Gordon's class, she does not teach it like me. So if they don't understand it, teach them how I teach you. Got it? Everybody get? I don't know if y'all have any friends over there in her honors class, but if you do and they don't get it, teach it my way, okay? All right, let's go back to example 1 and determine the C value. Once we know the focal length, we can find everything else we need. So we're gonna go back to that very first one in example 1, that 1/12 x squared. And we're just gonna find C. So our formula for C is 1/4A. If you don't get it my way, find somebody in Miss Gordon's class and see if her way works. You know what I'm saying? Like flip it back and forth. I'm not saying she's teaching it wrong. She just teaches it different than me. Okay. 1/4A. What is our A value? 1/12. So 1/4 times 1/12. Be careful by this. What I would do is, because I'm going to be lazy, I can do this in my head, but I'm not going to, is I'll put it in my calculator. I'll do alpha y equals 1/4 times 1/12 like this. So that way it's all in the bottom and everything's done. And then it'll actually give me a fraction instead of giving me a decimal. So if you do that alpha y equals, it'll turn it back into that fraction for you. If it's a fraction, this one's not, which gives me 3. All right, so you'll see that on the back page, we only have 2 examples. We only have 2 examples, but 2 is all you really need. You do everything the exact same way. When we get to our homework, it's going to be the same way. You're only going to have like 3 problems for your homework, 4 problems, something like that. But I mean, It's a lot of work within that one problem. So I wouldn't dare give you more than that. All right. We're gonna flip it over, and this is exactly what your homework is gonna look like. Exactly what it's gonna look like. So if you'll follow the same way that I do it, you should be good to go. So it says graph the parabola x squared equals 8y. Find and graph the focus, directrix, and focal chord endpoints. Yes, I do want you to graph. Graphing helps you a lot in this section. So make sure that you do graph. So the first thing that we need to do is solve our equation. And it's backwards, but it works. So don't stress out about it. It'll be okay. You can flip it around yourself. I'm going to put it up here just to get it out of the way. That gives us 1/8x squared. And then just for the fun of it, I'm going to rewrite it in vertex form for you. The reason I'm doing this is because, like I said, eventually we're going to move that vertex from 0, 0. So we're going to talk about having that vertex form. All right, so all they ask for is the focus, the directrix, and the focal chord endpoints, but I'm going to add in a couple more things just to review everything we've talked about. We're going to add in the vertex, and what is your vertex? 0, 0. Let's think back. What's your axis of symmetry? If your equation is y equals, remember your axis of symmetry is the opposite variable, which is x, and it's the x coordinate of your vertex. If it would have been a y, it would be the y coordinate. So tomorrow we'll do sideways parabolas, so we'll be using the y, okay? All right, so your vertex is at 0, 0. I'm gonna go ahead and put that there. Your axis of symmetry is gonna be the x-axis on this one, I mean the y-axis on this one. So then the next thing that you wanna do is find the focus, okay? So we wanna find the focus. So we're going to do 1/4a. If you need to put a little 1 here, so that's the first thing you need to do is find the focus. What's our a? 1/8. And these are really nice ones because they come out to be good numbers. What is 1/4 times 1/8? 2. All right, so it's an up-down parabola, right? Is everybody good with that? Up-down? How do we know it's up-down?
Because it's a y.
And y equals, yes. Both of those are perfect. What does the positive tell us? That it's up. So we need to know that. So remember that C value is how far it is from the focus and the directrix. So we said it's an up-down parabola. So we're going to go up 2 and down 2. Up 2 and down 2. Those two things are going to be your focus and your directrix. The way you know which one is which, the focus comes inside of the parabola, the directrix comes outside. So you said it opens up, right? So I'm gonna do not draw this. Do not draw this. I'm gonna do a quick sketch real fast. This is your parabola up, right? So the inside is the focus. That makes this the focus. And what is that coordinate? And it makes this, sorry, I'm a little crooked on that, the directrix. That is always going to be an equation. It will always be opposite of your axis of symmetry, or it'll be the same as your original equation. So what I mean by that is you're going to use the y, whatever your original equation is. And where does it cross the y-axis? -2. That's. And we'll do those tomorrow. All right, so then all of that is pretty cut and dry unless you get like a fraction. That's when it gets a little bit harder. So if you get it, like if this doesn't come out to be a whole number, it gets a little crazy, but same thing. Okay, so that's where I said when we start moving that vertex, it's going to be a little bit weird. Your focal chord endpoints, if you need to write it out, focal chord endpoints, that's fine. To get your focal chord endpoints, remember on the page over there, we said that it was 2C. We found out that C was 2. So that means it's 4 units from the focus. So all you do is go to your focus, go 4 units to the right and 4 units to the left. I'm just erasing my sketch. That's why I said don't draw it. So what are those two coordinates? And?
Two.
Negative 4, 2. Perfect. And then it says sketch your parabola. All you have to do is connect those 3 points, your vertex and your 2 focal chord endpoints. That's why I said it's not going to hurt you to graph it because you already have the stuff on there. Okay. That's it. That's it. So it's not terrible. And again, once you get to a fraction, the next one is a fraction decimal. It gets a little confusing, but it's still the same process. Okay, so it's just thinking about the numbers. This one's a good fraction. If there are good fractions, the next one is a good fraction. All right. Graph the parabola x squared equals negative 6y. Think about the last one. What did we do first? Get it into y equals. You do not have to write it in the vertex form. It already is in that. You don't have to put the zeros in there. I don't need to see that. Just to review your vertex and your axis of symmetry. What is your vertex on this one? 0, 0. We don't have anything with x and nothing with y. Since it's a y equals, our axis of symmetry is going to be x equals and whatever your vertex is. 0. So again, that's from last week or early in the week. The first new thing we learned is we have to find C using 1 over 4a. What is our a value? I don't use the negative. You can if you'd like. I do not. Okay. And the only reason I don't is because what does the negative tell you? It goes down. That's it. So it'll tell you, like, if you use the negative, you're going down. That one's going to be your focus. So if you want to use it, you can. I just don't. And this actually gives you 1.5. So this is a nice fraction. This is not one of those like 1/16, because you will get those and they're really bad. But for this one, it's not bad. So our vertex was at 0, 0. Since it's an up-down parabola, we're going to go up 1.5 and down 1.5. And since it points down, the bottom one is our focus. And the top one is our directrix. So where is your focus? What is your coordinate? Your directrix, remember, is the same as your regular equation, y equals. And where does it cross the y-axis? That's it. And then the second part is to find the focal chord endpoints. How do we do that?
Two times 1.5.
2 times c, or 2 times 1.5. Perfect, which gives you 3. So I go 3 to the left. Sorry, it's in my word focus. And 3 to the right. I did the opposite. 3 to the left, 3 to the right. What are those coordinates? Perfect. And then to graph, connect your 3 coordinates. And that's it. Very good. For the parabola, focus 0, -2, and directrix y equals 2. This is more of an EOC question. So I've seen this on the EOC. Very good. So just know that this is what you're going to get. You have to know the other stuff to be able to do that. I like to graph them. If you have graph paper, that's fine. You can sketch it right now. If you need graph paper while you're in here, just let me know. I'll see what I can do. All right, so I'm going to use a graph and I'm going to put on here exactly. This is just a visual for me. Some of you can do that without doing it. I have to see it. All right. So we have a focus at 0, -2. And we have a directrix at y equals 2. Oops. What is that going to help us with? Where is your vertex? It's going to be right in the middle. So remember that your vertex falls exactly in the middle. So the first thing that we do is find our vertex. Remember, it's halfway between focus and directrix. And we found out that it was 0, 0. The next thing you're going to do is fill in what you know. What does that mean? I have the equation. Remember, I told you in the beginning. I do pluses. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do. I think she does minuses. I think the original form is minuses because you're changing the signs, whatever. It don't matter. All right. So what we know is that our vertex is 0, 0. The third thing that you're going to do is find A by doing 1 over 4A. Okay. We already know what C is. Remember, C is the distance between your vertex and your focus. So what is C? What's your distance between those 2 points? 2. Yeah, don't make it complicated. 2. So here's what we do. 2 equals 1 over 4A. I don't know A, so I'm going to solve it. So I cross multiply. 2 times 4A is 8A. 1 times 1 is 1. We're going to divide by 8. And we get A equals 1/8. Very good. So then put it into your equation. Y equals, A is 1/8. We're going to come back to this in just a second. You can do the x plus 0 squared plus 0 just to remind you that you can put your vertex in there. Or you can just do the 1/8x squared. But let me ask you this. Is it positive or negative? Why is it negative? Good. So that's the last thing that you do. Is remind yourself, is it positive or negative? This one's got to be negative because it points down. The directrix is on top. Perfect. All right. Any questions? Everybody good? All right. So don't go anywhere just yet.